Hello and welcome to Simple English Talk. Today, we invite you into a quiet space, not just to learn English, but to feel it, to discover how each word carries meaning, memory, and even emotion. This is not about memorizing rules. It's about connecting with the language in a deeper, more human way. If you're ready to grow, to listen, and to learn from within, you're in the right place. Make sure to follow the channel, Simple English Talk, and share this video with someone who wants to learn English in a way that truly touches the soul. Let's begin. Section 1. The Price of a Gift. When I was a child, I woke up one morning to find a red bicycle standing in front of our small house. It was bright, shining in the morning sun, like a jewel placed in the middle of a simple life. I was too young to ask questions. My eyes sparkled. My heart raced. I touched it gently, afraid it might disappear if I blinked. There was no card, no message, no explanation, just the bicycle. A gift. I remember riding it every day through narrow streets and open fields. My feet barely reached the pedals, but my spirit soared. I imagined I was flying. I felt powerful, independent. I told all my friends, "Look what I got." They were amazed, envious. I became someone that day, someone lucky, someone chosen. But I never once asked, why me? As years passed, the memory of that morning stayed with me. But the bicycle, like most things, faded. Its red paint chipped. The wheels wore down. Eventually I outgrew it. Yet, the mystery remained. Until one afternoon, while cleaning the house with my mother, I found an old photograph of her wearing a delicate gold bracelet. I had never seen it before. Curious, I asked, "Where is this bracelet now?" She looked at the photo for a long moment and then said something simple. "I sold it." Her voice was quiet, but not sad, just honest. I asked why. She didn't hesitate. "For your bicycle. You wanted it so much. I didn't have the money, so I gave what I had." I stood still. That moment changed me. She had never told me before. She didn't need to. That bicycle wasn't free. It had a price. A silent one. Paid with love. Paid with sacrifice. And I, a child who knew nothing of giving, had ridden it like it was magic. But magic always has a cost. You just don't see it right away. This memory stayed with me not just as a story from my past, but as a deep lesson in life. Nothing is truly free. Behind every gift, every achievement, every success, there is effort. There is something invisible. Something paid, often silently, by someone you may never know. Now, as an adult learning and teaching English, I see the same truth. When I hear someone speak fluently, when their words flow effortlessly, I admire it. But I also know, behind that fluency, behind that grace, is a mountain of invisible work. Nobody wakes up speaking English with ease. It is earned, word by word, mistake by mistake. People often ask, "How can I speak English fluently?" They want the answer. They want the method. They want the shortcut. But the truth is this: there is no shortcut. There is only the path. The long, sometimes silent path. You sit down with a book. You listen to voices you don't yet understand. You write words that look strange. You repeat them. You forget them. You return to them again. That is the cost. And just like my mother gave her bracelet, you give your time. You give your attention. You give your energy, even when you are tired, even when progress feels slow. That is how fluency is built. Not in a day, not in a week, but in small, consistent acts of commitment. Some learners compare themselves to others and feel behind. They hear a friend speaking easily and think, they are gifted. I can never be like that. But they don't see the hours that friend spent listening in the dark, reading on buses, practicing in front of mirrors. Nobody is born fluent. Fluency is built, and building takes effort. There is beauty in paying that price, because every moment you give to learning English, every second of frustration, every word you repeat until it finally feels natural, becomes your investment, your bracelet, your sacrifice. And one day someone will hear you speak. They'll admire your fluency. They may even feel a little jealous. But they won't know the price you paid. And you won't need to tell them, because it's your story, your red bicycle. So the next time you feel tired, the next time you wonder if it's worth it, remember this: nothing is free. But everything you build with your own hands, your own heart, becomes yours forever. No one can take it, and no one can give it to you without cost. This is the journey of learning English. It is not about memorizing a list of words. It is about showing up, giving, being patient, accepting that fluency is not something we are given, but something we earn, something we grow into. And the most beautiful part is this: when you finally arrive at fluency, when the words come easily, when you speak and others understand, you will know the truth, not just about language, but about life. That the most precious things are never free, and that the journey, the cost, is what makes them truly yours. Section 2. Words with a soul. A word is more than ink on a page or sound in the air. It is a living thing. A word holds breath, memory, emotion. It carries the voice of generations. It has wandered through history, hiding in books, waiting on lips, whispering across time. To learn a word is not to collect it like a coin. It is to touch its journey, to feel its weight, to listen to its silence. When you hear the word hope, what comes to you? Is it a face, a place, a moment in your life when you waited for something you could not see? That is the true shape of the word, not the spelling, not the pronunciation, but the feeling it awakens. That is what gives it life. That is what gives it soul. You do not memorize words, you meet them. You encounter them like travelers, worn and wise, each carrying stories. The word mother did not begin in your language class. It began in the mouth of a child calling out in fear, in love, in comfort. It began before grammar existed. It began in the heart. When you say peace, you are not simply practicing English. You are opening a door into silence, into understanding, into the human wish to rest from struggle. That is why you must slow down. You must feel the word like a heartbeat. Let it echo. Let it enter you, not as information, but as presence. Close your eyes and whisper the word light. It is small, simple, 4 letters only. But when you say it, what do you see? A sunrise? A candle? A moment of truth? The soul of a word lies in the pictures it paints across your mind. That is how you remember. That is how it stays. This is not about perfect memory. It is about emotional memory. The heart does not forget what it feels deeply. You remember the day you said goodbye with tears. You remember the first time someone said, "I love you." These words are not stored in your brain. They are stored in your being. They are carved into your experience. So when you learn a new word, do not rush. Do not skip the soul to chase the surface. Look at the word. Sit with it. Say it aloud. Taste it. Notice its shape, its rhythm, the way it fills the room. Ask it, where have you been? What do you carry? What pain? What joy? Take the word home. To one person, it means a house. To another, it means safety. To someone else, It means something they lost long ago. The same word, 1,000 meanings. This is the mystery of language. The words may be shared, but their stories are personal. And when you give a word your attention, it offers you something back, a piece of its past, a piece of yourself. Do not fear forgetting. Fear never feeling. When a word becomes only a task, only a list on a page, it begins to fade. But when a word becomes a friend, it stays. When you walk and repeat it to yourself like a song, when you connect it to an emotion, a memory, a desire, it roots itself in you. Imagine your mind not as a storage box, but as a garden. Each word you plant with care will grow, not all at once. Sometimes it disappears into the soil, but give it time, and one day it will bloom in your speech. You will speak, and the word will come. Naturally, gently, as if it had always been there. This is the art of learning vocabulary. Not through force, but through feeling. Not through repetition alone, but through relationship. A word is not yours until you have lived with it, walked with it, listened to its silence. Some learners think fluency is only about speed, but fluency without depth is empty. Real fluency is when you speak with words that carry meaning, not just meaning from the dictionary, but meaning from within you. You will forget some words. That is natural, but you will never forget the words that touched you, the words you held close, the words you spoke during a turning point. These words become part of your story. They do not belong to English anymore. They belong to you. Let your vocabulary be a collection of souls, not sounds. Let each word be sacred, not mechanical. Respect the words. Welcome them. Speak them with care, with music, with reverence. And in time, something beautiful will happen. The words you once struggled to remember will rise naturally when you speak, because they are no longer separate from you. They live inside you. They breathe with you. They speak through you. That is how you know you are learning not just a language, but a living soul of sound. And that soul is yours to carry. Section 3. The Invisible Work. Imagine a garden at sunrise. You see only the surface, petals opening gently, leaves shining with morning dew. It's quiet, beautiful. But what you cannot see is what matters most. Beneath the soil, roots are reaching. Deep, silent, alive. They do not speak. They do not show themselves. But without them, the flower cannot stand. This is how language works. What people admire, your ability to speak, to write, to understand, is only the flower, the beauty above. But beneath that, there is a garden of invisible work. The hours you spend listening, the times you repeat the same word again and again, the moments you try and fail and try again. Nobody sees that. But that is where fluency is born. Learning vocabulary is not about memorizing long lists in one sitting. That's not how gardens grow. If you throw too many seeds into the soil all at once, most will not survive. They need space. They need care. You do not need to learn 100 words in a day. You need to learn a few, and then return to them, gently, every day. That is planting. That is watering. Let's say you learn the word reflection. The first day, you hear it. It sounds unfamiliar, like a stranger passing by. The second day, you see it again in a book. Now it's not a stranger, but a face you think you've seen before. The third day, you use it in a sentence. This book made me feel deep reflection. Now it's part of your expression. That is how the seed grows. Slowly, silently, but surely. The invisible work is not glamorous. It happens when no one is watching. It happens in the quiet moments of effort. When you choose to read for 10 minutes before bed instead of scrolling your phone. When you pause a video and replay a sentence because you want to hear it clearly. When you write down a word even though you've written it before. That is the work no one claps for. But it's the work that builds you. Sometimes learners feel discouraged because they don't see results immediately. They say, "I've been learning for weeks, but I still forget words. I still struggle." But remember, the roots grow long before the flower shows. There is growth happening even when you cannot see it, even when your confidence is low, even when you feel stuck. That is the power of the invisible work. You may not feel proud of repeating a single word 10 times, but one day, during a conversation, the word will come naturally. You will not even think about it. It will just rise, effortless, smooth. And you will smile, because in that moment, the flower opened. But only because of all the silent days before, all the repetition, all the practice. That moment is never luck. It is the reward of hidden effort. In life, people celebrate the big wins. The test passed, the speech delivered, the job interview done in English. But behind every big moment are hundreds of small, invisible moments. That's what makes them possible. That's what makes them real. So if today, all you do is listen to 5 minutes of English audio, that matters. If today, you write 3 sentences using a new word, that matters. If today, you simply think in English while walking to work, that too is progress. Invisible, but powerful. Motivation comes and goes. But discipline, small, consistent action, that is what builds fluency. Not in a day, not even in a month, but over time, like sunlight returning each morning, like rain falling softly, like roots growing deep even in the darkest soil. Give yourself the gift of patience. Your brain is not a machine. It's a garden. It needs rest. It needs repetition. It needs care. Sometimes you will forget. Sometimes you will feel like nothing is working. That's normal. That's the process. Even in nature, some seeds sleep through the seasons before breaking through. When you feel like giving up, remember that your efforts are not wasted. They are stored. Every minute you spend with a word makes it more familiar. Every attempt brings you closer. You are teaching your mind a new rhythm, a new world. That cannot be rushed. It must be earned. Look at your English practice not as a race, but as a rhythm. Not a performance, but a journey. The more you trust the process, the more powerful your growth will be. Stay with it. Return to your words like a gardener returns to his plants. Not with urgency, but with care, with belief, with love. And one day, without warning, you will speak, and the words will be there. Not because you forced them, but because they grew inside you, quietly, while you were patient. That is the magic of invisible work. The world may not see it, but you will feel its power. Section 4. Memory is emotion. Some memories stay forever. Others disappear like morning mist. But why? Why does your mind hold one sentence from childhood yet forget the word you studied yesterday? It's not about intelligence. It's not about effort. It's about emotion. The mind is a servant of the heart. It holds tightly what the heart touches. If something moves you, it becomes part of you. If something stays distant, cold, mechanical, meaningless, your mind lets it go. It does not remember facts. It remembers feelings. And this is why language, to be remembered, must be felt. Think of a song you heard years ago, one that carried a moment, a smell, a silence. You still remember it, not because of its structure, but because of its emotion. You felt something when you heard it. That feeling became a bridge. Now, when you hear even the first few notes, memory returns, complete. Learning English is no different. You can repeat a word 100 times, but if you feel nothing, it will slip away. You will search for it, but it won't answer. But if you connect that word to your own story, your own emotions, it will stay. It will live in you. Take the word hope. Do not just spell it. Do not just define it. Sit with it. Close your eyes. Ask yourself, when was the last time I truly hoped for something? Picture that moment, the silence, the waiting, the trembling joy. Now speak the word again. Hope. It feels different now. It's not just a word. It's your memory. That is learning. That is the soul of retention. Memory is not just a system. It's a relationship. You must build a connection to what you want to keep. This is why stories work, because stories are not made of grammar. They are made of emotion. A well-told story enters your heart before your mind. It brings laughter, tears, reflection. These emotions become the roots that hold the vocabulary in place. You may not remember every detail of a story, but you will remember how it made you feel. You'll remember a phrase spoken in pain. You'll remember a question asked in wonder. And those phrases will live inside you, because they didn't enter through study. They entered through soul. This is the path to meaningful learning. Not racing through words like numbers in a game, but opening yourself to feel them, to experience them. Vocabulary is not data. It is music. It is emotion in sound. It is the voice of human experience. And when you learn with that spirit, it becomes unforgettable. Some people try to force memory. They push themselves with stress, with pressure, with fear of forgetting. But this only builds walls. Fear creates tension, and tension is the enemy of memory. The mind does not bloom in fear. It closes, it hides. But when you are curious, when you are at peace, your mind opens. It becomes soft, like earth ready for planting. When you enjoy the process, when you smile as you say the word, when you feel pride in using it, then the word stays. It does not need to be forced. It wants to stay. So build your vocabulary not with urgency, but with connection. When you learn the word lonely, do not just study it. Ask yourself, when have I felt that? What was that day like? What was around me? Use that memory to color the word. Now it has shape. Now it has weight. You won't forget it, because it belongs to you now. Let your words be personal. Let them be honest. Let them live in real moments. That is how you grow, not just in language, but in understanding. You begin to feel that every word in English carries a human story, just like in your native tongue. And this feeling, that words are alive, is what will carry you forward. Let go of the idea that you must remember everything. You don't. You only need to remember what matters. And to make it matter, you must let it touch you. Let the language come close. Let it stir something in your heart. When you watch a film in English, listen not just for the words, but for the emotions. What is the character feeling? How do they say the word? What is their breath doing? Their silence? Their eyes? All of this is language. Language is not just grammar. It is life. And life is remembered when it is felt. You are not just building vocabulary. You are building bridges between memory and emotion. You are crafting a world where every word is tied to something you've lived, something you've known. And this world becomes strong. It becomes you. Let English be a mirror, not a task. Let each word show you a part of yourself. And then you will not need to study as much. You will live with the words, and the words will live with you. Section 5. The Silent Exchange. Every word you speak begins in silence. Before it leaves your lips, before it forms sound, it lives in the stillness of your mind, like a candle unlit, like a thought waiting to be born. Language does not begin with noise. It begins with presence. You sit. You listen. You open a book. You press play on a video. You hear voices, unfamiliar at first, strange, distant, almost unreal, but you stay. You give your time. You give your focus. You give your silence. This is your offering. You may not see it, but something begins to happen. In the quiet corners of your mind, a word whispers. It does not shout. It does not demand. It waits. You hear it again. It returns. It stays a little longer this time. That is the beginning of the exchange. What you give to the language, your time, your patience, your attention, it gives back. But not in the way you expect, not with instant results, not with loud success, but with quiet transformation. You start to think in English without trying. You begin to hear words even in your sleep. You understand phrases without translating. You speak, and suddenly the word is there, like a friend who arrived before you asked. That is the silent exchange. It is not a trade. It is not a contract. It is a relationship, a sacred one, between you and the language, between your soul and the sounds you are learning to carry. You cannot rush it. You cannot force it. You can only show up again and again and trust the process. You are not alone on this path. Every sentence you learn, someone else has spoken before. Every story you listen to was once shared with love. Every word you repeat was once whispered by someone in pain, in joy, in longing. Language is a bridge across time, across space, across hearts. When you read, you are not just learning. You are receiving a gift that someone else left behind. A teacher, a writer, a voice in the dark. Someone gave their time to make that lesson. Someone believed that one day you would find it. You are not only a student. You are part of a lineage, a sacred chain, a silent inheritance. And now, it is your turn to give, not just to receive. When you practice, when you speak, when you write, even to yourself, you are shaping the path for someone else. One day, someone will hear your voice, your story, and they will feel less alone. They will feel inspired, and they will not know all the silent hours you spent preparing for that moment. But the language will carry it. It always does. There is a holiness in repetition. Saying the same word 20 times may feel small, but in that act, you are creating space. You are digging the foundation for something greater. In the stillness of that practice, something eternal is being formed. Not just knowledge, but connection. Between you and others. Between you and yourself. Do not seek perfection. Seek presence. Do not measure how fast you grow. Measure how deep. Every word that lives in your heart has weight. Every phrase you carry with care becomes part of your light. You may not feel it yet, but it shows. In your courage to speak, in your willingness to listen, in your commitment to keep going, even when no one is watching. The world speaks many languages, but all of them began in the same place, in silence, in desire, in the human need to be understood. And now you are walking that ancient path. You are learning to speak not just English, but humanity. You are learning to build bridges where there were walls. You are learning to see with your ears, to feel with your words. This is no small journey. And you are not small for walking it. You are brave. You are sacred. You are building something no one can take from you. A voice that belongs to you. A language that walks with you, like a shadow in the light. Like a companion. Like a guide. When you speak, even imperfectly, even slowly, you are offering a piece of yourself. You are trusting the silent exchange. You are saying, I am here. I am learning. I am ready. And in return, the language begins to hold you, to move through you, to live in your thoughts, your dreams, your silence. Nothing is free, but what you give comes back in ways you cannot imagine. Not quickly, but deeply. Not loudly, but eternally. So speak, even if your voice trembles, even if you pause between every word. Speak, because every word you speak is a gift, and every gift you give is the beginning of something greater than you can see. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Remember, learning English is not just about speaking fluently. It's about growing patiently. It's about connecting with others and with yourself in a deeper way. If this message touched something in you, please share this video with someone you care about. Let them feel it too. And don't forget to follow Simple English Talk for more beautiful, meaningful ways to learn and practice English. Through stories, through emotion, through soul. Until next time, keep learning, keep feeling, and keep speaking from the heart. See you in the next video.